Now, you'll notice in this video, I've got the 1642AI board. This is the 16-channel mixer, and you'll notice the fat channel is a little bit different on this board. Now, I'm going to go over the differences of the fat channel, but one thing to keep in mind if you own this board, or if it's a board you regularly use, is that it actually does internally have all the features of the two larger boards, and they're available from the Universal Control AI application, sometimes called VSL. And it gives you access to all of those features. But when you're using the board hands-on, standalone, you have a few limited features. But in a way, it could be kind of an advantage because in a way it's easier to use. So we're going to take a look at the differences. We're going to get started with the gate. Now for this video, I've loaded up a different song. And this is an actual board mix from the band L'Angelou. And so we'll get a little Cajun-style music for a change to switch it up from the song we've been listening to. I'm going to isolate some of the things. We're going to just take a look at the gate. And we'll start with the snare. So I'm going to solo the snare. I'm in solo in place mode. We'll get playing back. All right, so in that example, you can see really all we've got to work with is turn the gate on, set the threshold. It's always in the expander mode, meaning as you turn it up, it's going to lower the things that are below the threshold. And so that makes it really easy. The other thing you can do is tune the release time. And by tuning the release time, as I showed in the other video, you can match it to the tempo of the song a little bit better. So if we take it on the full mix, let's take a look at the overheads. I'll select the overheads. We've got the gate on. I'll tune it up, and then I'll adjust this to kind of match the tempo of the song. You can see that gives you kind of a little bit of a bounce that goes along with the beat. And it might not work on this kind of music, but then I kind of like to dial in a little bit of that, certainly on the overheads. Also on the overheads, we can do the normal things. You can see I've got the low end rolled off. I've got the limiter engaged. Now the limiter is set where it's at full scale, meaning that just anything that goes over 0 in the whole mix of the channel will get limited. And so there's really nothing to set other than to turn it on. And it does come after the equalizer, just like in the other boards. So something for drums, I usually will leave the limiter on. Then we do, of course, want to watch our levels. Now let's take a look at the equalizer. You can see the equalizer has no specific cue controls. We can turn on all the bands. It also doesn't have a full on-off button, at least not directly on the board. You can do that through VSL. Now with all the bands engaged, we don't have the middle knob that allows you to tighten up the bell shape on all of these bands. But for the middle bands, for low mids and high mids, we have a high Q. And it actually, this high Q dials in a tighter bell shape. And that shape is actually a Q of 2. Now a Q of 2, if you were to look at the Q control on the other mixers, looks like something about here, like about halfway up or about halfway down on those Q controls. But anyway, the high Q button gives you a very usable, tighter Q that you can use to dial things out. So with it set that way, let's just take a look at the fiddle. All right, so what I did with the fiddle, because the fiddle has a certain screechy quality, is I used the high Q and then adjusted the frequency until I find where it sounds a little shrill, and I have the gain up while doing that. And then once you find that frequency, then you can take that out just a little bit, and it softens up kind of the edge on the fiddle. So also I've done a little EQ. I've rolled off the lows using this. We've also rolled it off over here. We've just taken a little bit of the top end off of it as well, a little bit of the mid-range out, as you can see, using these parameters right here. It's just one example, kind of like we were doing before, of tailoring the sound so it fits a little bit better in the mix. So I'll just show you this. I'll just turn this on and off. You can hear the difference on the fiddle sound. So with those tweaks in there, I'll just play you a little bit more of this song so you can get an idea of the overall tune. And that is really a summary of the only differences that there are between this Fat Channel and the Fat Channel on the other two boards.
On the steps I saw a great car, holding hands with a little girl. I just had she takes her every angel, and when I walk hold your hand forever, you make me closer to heaven when you smile, baby, baby.
So that's the band L'Angelou. That was recorded right at a show using a Studio Live board into the capture program, and I'm using that as an example to run it back through the board so I could demonstrate the Fat Channel on the 16AI board. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.